Burning fat and getting lean is really just the beginning. According to research, over 90% of people who lose a lot of weight eventually regain every last pound they lost. And if you don't want to end up like one of these poor, unfortunate people, you should know that the long-term outcome is largely determined by how easily you're able to stick to your diet plan. The harder it is for you to follow a diet, the less chance you have of actually maintaining the results long-term. The two factors that influence how easy a diet is to stick to are how satiating and satisfying the diet is. To break that down further, the only way to feel full and satisfied is by eating a diet with a higher food volume. These high-volume foods naturally stretch your stomach, helping you feel full without feeling restricted, while costing a minimal amount of calories. This makes dieting easier and much more sustainable. So today, I want to go over 11 of the most filling foods for effortless weight loss. Starting first with watermelon. Now, fruit is something that many people limit when they're on a diet because they're afraid of the simple sugars that most fruits contain. However, other than vegetables, fruit is some of the least calorically dense food available to eat. And this is especially true with watermelon. Over 90% of watermelon is made up of water. This is why you can eat a whole cup of watermelon and only take in around 30 to 40 calories. This will really help fill up your stomach and naturally reduce your appetite. Watermelon is also one of the best natural sources of L-citrulline, an amino acid that's converted inside the body into L-arginine. This leads to the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps improve many things, including blood flow, exercise performance, energy levels, and post-workout muscle soreness. 2. Hot peppers. Another great option that helps fill you up, if you don't mind spicy foods, is hot peppers and the hot sauces they're used to make. This is because hot peppers are rich in capsaicin, which has been shown to not only speed up metabolism, but also help prevent future overeating. There are a number of studies showing that hot peppers can reduce appetite. For example, in one study, researchers had two groups eat the exact same entree. One group ate the meal with a small amount of hot peppers, while the other group had salsa instead. The group that had the hot peppers ended up consuming 200 fewer calories in their next meal. Another similar study had one group eating red peppers with their meal and another group eating the same meal without the red peppers. Afterward, participants were allowed to eat as much pizza as they wanted. The group that had the red peppers beforehand ate significantly less pizza. Since Tabasco sauce and most hot sauces are very low in calories, feel free to add these sauces, as well as actual peppers, to your meals. Next, let's move on to a carbohydrate that I know many of you try to avoid when your goal is to burn fat, and that's the potato. Potatoes have been blamed in the past for causing weight gain. However, this has a lot more to do with the way they're served rather than the potato itself. When you add a lot of butter, milk, or even cream cheese to mashed potatoes, and then top them off with gravy, you'll most likely add a few hundred extra calories that do very little to help fill you up. The same can be said if you fry potatoes or cook them in a lot of oil. However, if you grill, oven bake, or boil a potato, you get one of the most filling starchy carbohydrates out there. In fact, potatoes rank at the very top of the satiety index, which simply means they're extremely filling, especially if you eat the whole potato with the skin. The skin contains a ton of filling fiber. When potatoes are cooked the right way, they contain anywhere from 1/3 to half the calories of many other grain products when compared by food volume. For example, 100 grams of potatoes contain about 75 calories, while 100 grams of rice contains around 130 calories. And even though you shouldn't overload your potatoes with butter, there's nothing wrong with adding a small amount to make them taste better. You'll still be eating one of the most filling carbs per food volume. Another carbohydrate that's very filling is oatmeal. Oatmeal has been a staple carb in the diets of strongmen and bodybuilders for generations. Not only are oats relatively low in calories, but they're also highly satiating. In fact, they rank number 3 on the food satiety scale. This has a lot to do with their high fiber content and their ability to soak up water, increasing the volume they occupy in your stomach. The fiber also helps slow digestion, which helps you stay full longer. On top of that, oats pack a good amount of protein for a carbohydrate-rich food. Just remember, when buying oats, go with plain steel-cut or rolled oats, and avoid flavored varieties. The flavored packets often contain a lot of added sugars, making them much more calorically dense. Next on the list is, of course, vegetables. I wanted to go over vegetables as a broad category because there are so many great options that are so low in calories per food volume that this whole video could be about vegetables alone. Some of the most satiating and least calorically dense vegetables include celery, cucumbers, and spinach. Vegetables that are full of water, like lettuce, celery, and cucumbers, are particularly low in calories. For example, 100 grams of celery contains only about 8 calories. Even if you grazed on celery all day, it would be extremely difficult to consume enough calories to maintain your weight. Other vegetables, like broccoli and cauliflower, are higher in calories than celery, but are still excellent at satisfying your appetite and reducing hunger. Vegetables are also packed with vitamins and minerals. If you ever need to take the edge off your hunger, having a salad or some stir-fried vegetables before your main course is a great idea. Another awesome carbohydrate that can serve as a very filling snack is popcorn. Popcorn is surprisingly filling and satiating, especially for a snack that's primarily made up of carbs. This is largely due to its high fiber content and low energy density. 1 cup of popcorn contains only about 30 calories. The problem is that popcorn is often paired with a lot of butter. And with enough butter, you can take any low-energy density food and turn it into a calorie-dense one. So, if you're using popcorn as a snack to fight hunger and cravings, stick with the plain, air-popped variety whenever possible. If you want a healthier carb that's not only filling but also packed with vitamins and antioxidants, then try eating more berries. Berries are naturally low in calories, and certain varieties, like blackberries and raspberries, are much lower in carbs than most other fruits. They're also packed with fiber, which helps slow digestion and keeps you feeling full longer. Next, we have soup. To get the most benefits from soup in terms of satisfying hunger, choose one that's loaded with vegetables and protein. Aside from the high fiber and protein content found in many soups, they're also mostly liquid. All that water helps fill your stomach and decrease your appetite. In one study, volunteers were divided into 3 groups. One group ate a solid meal. The second group ate a chunky soup. The third group ate a smooth soup that had been blended in a food processor. The smooth soup was the clear winner because it had the highest satiety rating and the slowest release rate from the stomach. Now, don't drive yourself crazy trying to figure out whether your soup is smooth or chunky. Any soup that's full of vegetables can do a great job satisfying hunger, especially when eaten before your main meal. Now that we've gone over mostly carbohydrate-rich foods, let's talk about protein sources, starting with eggs. Eggs score very high on the satiety index. They're also convenient and easy to bring with you on the go. Simply boil them, and you're ready. If you regularly eat breakfast, eggs are one of the best ways to start your day. Research has shown that eating eggs for breakfast can help you consume significantly fewer calories throughout the rest of the day. One study compared a breakfast of eggs to a breakfast of bagels. Not only did the egg group experience increased fullness, but they also consumed far fewer calories over the following 36 hours. Another excellent source of filling protein is fish. Even though fish may seem similar to other protein sources like chicken, turkey, and beef, fish actually ranks as the most filling protein source on the satiety index. It even ranks above eggs. Fish is also rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which many people don't get enough of. Fatty fish, such as salmon, are especially high in omega-3s and are particularly effective at satisfying hunger. If you're not a fan of fish, hopefully you enjoy dairy, because cottage cheese is another very filling protein source. One reason it's so filling is that, unlike milk, which contains a large amount of fast-digesting whey protein, cottage cheese is primarily made up of slow-digesting casein protein. There's a big difference between these two proteins. While whey protein can digest in as little as 20 to 30 minutes, casein protein can take well over 4 hours. As a result, cottage cheese helps you stay full much longer. Keep in mind that all varieties of cottage cheese can help fill you up. However, if you're trying to save calories for fat loss, you'll want to choose the 0% fat or skim version. So there you have it. Those are the most filling carbohydrate and protein sources that can help you burn fat, lose weight, and make dieting much easier. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you never miss another upload.